Hello, guys. Today is day 10 of my paper trading account. I took yesterday off due to some car trouble. And then today I am on day 10 of my paper trading account. And today was a small red day. Today I felt like a lot of my trades, I traded three names today. In total, I took four trades in total on these three names, and I just felt like I was kind of it was back and forth basically with going red, going green. So I started off with my day. So I'll kind of go over my trades just to kind of give a recap of what my day looked like. I started my day today with SSKN. Now SSKN was off my it was pre-market. Sorry, it wasn't on my watch list. It was pre-market gapper. It was moving up on, if you look at the year to date, it was basically gapping up, and it something that I kind of watched. I just kind of figured, I was like, you know what, in the previous, when it had gapped up over here, it did have a red day, and since it's gapping up here, it might be setting up for the red day, and I think the volume on it was pre-market was getting a bit heavy as well, and so I just kind of felt like, you know what, this is the kind of trade that might get me in trouble if I jump in on the first candle, and in the past this has happened to me where I jump in on the first candle and it ends up giving me trouble. So well, not this trade specifically, well, not on SSK and not this name, but just the type of trade, with the pre-market. It started kind of moving post-market yesterday, and then pre-market, was the high was just around here actually, right before the market opened in the 260s. So I was watching it. I did have it pulled up, although it wasn't on my watch list. But I was watching it for the day just to see how it looks, especially when the market opened. It pulled back and then had this basically right off the bat, kind of had a little washout, and then it pulled back here. I jumped in on the first candle here to make a new high, and also red to green move here. So I placed my order for 265, I think it was, and I got filled at 264, which was above this candle right here, which was 263. The high of this candle was 263. So I was like, you know what, it's setting up for the first 1 minute candle to make a new high, and also it's coming up for a red to green move. So we might get that squeeze that we do get on red to green moves, especially with the markets being hot, low float. It was one of the lowest float today at the pre-market, so it just felt like it could have that potential to squeeze up to the 3. My goal on this was, when I jumped in at 265, I wanted to go in for a scalp because I realized the high was 275 here. If it takes out this high of day, I would hold some of my position, looking for that scale back up to 3, and then looking to scale out at that near the $3 mark. Because if you look here in the daily, once it did break 3 here, right over here, there was some resistance here at 3. If it broke that, we did have some room up to the 4s. So did have a lot of room to run after the break of 3, but it couldn't really get there. So going back into 1 minute here, I ended up scaling out. So with this, I had a loss of $100. But what happened? I scaled out as soon as we got over this 265. Red to green move. I got filled at 264, and this candle goes up here, and then this candle starts running. I started scaling out. I sold some in the I believe it was 270 and then 272. That was my exit trades there. I got some out at 272, and I think some at 278, but not a lot. I still had about 500, so I took 1,000 share position just because I was a little skeptical of it. I didn't want to take a large position just because I kind of look like the stock might be a bit heavy on the selling side. So took 1,000 share position, sold about 400 something just in that 272 278 mark, and then the rest I was holding to see if because it was basically taking out this 275. I sold some as soon as it took that out, and I was holding about 560 some shares around this area. I could have gotten out in the 270s, but I was like, you know what, I do have a little bit of position sold, my risk a bit lower now. Let me see what happens here. What ended up happening is that 280 basically in here got rejected. It started coming back down, and the candle went red. Now my entry was 265. It did go red on the day. Now if I was thinking straight, I would have just gone out right there. I would have sold the remaining of my position and gone out. I was kind of like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a little bit of chance just because I did sell some half, close to half my position. I'll hold a bit. Let's see if it kind of goes back up. It didn't end up happening. It took down the low of this. As soon as it took a low of this, I tried selling in the 250s. I didn't get filled. It was just too fast. Dropped down to the 240s. And then I was just like, well, I'm already a bit away from what my stop loss would have been. Let me see. I don't want to sell into this weakness here. Let me see if it does a little bit of bounce back, and I'll sell into that. This candle, I was waiting for it to bounce back, get over this 250 mark, and it didn't. So I ended up bailing out in the 239s for the remaining of my position. So I ended up losing, I think it was like 10, I don't know, 25, close to 20 cents. 25 cents, something like that. I ended up losing on the 500 shares. I was down about I was down about 108, I believe it was. I was down. That was basically my beginning. The morning, as soon as the day started, I was already down about $100. So I didn't panic. I was like, you know what, that's all right. This is something I can easily come out of if I stick to my plays, if I stick to my setups, and I take a quality setup with a bigger size, towards the rest of the day. See what happens. Next thing to pop up was OPTT. Now OPTT looked really good this morning. Pre-market as well. It was post-market yesterday. It had this massive move, and then pre-market, it was kind of hanging around here. It was pulling back, so I kind of stopped watching it pre-market just because just before the market opened, it was kind of failing off. And then I was just like, you know what, this is something that might not come back up just because it had this post-market. The news, let me see here. Let me see if there was a new. Can't find a catalyst. So I couldn't find a catalyst, but some people on Twitter, this was right off my watch list, by the way. Some people on Twitter was talking about a news, but they said that it was an old news that was resurfacing. So I was kind of skeptical about this trade. But if you look at the previous chart history, this stock had made some major moves in the past. This stock has gone from all the way 3s up to the 15s in a few days. So, traders like to remember stocks that move this much. So in my head, I was like, you know what, this could have the potential to run today if it can take some levels, if it can claim some levels back. First level, the good entry point would have been basically the pre-market break of just around this 210 here. But I think I missed that. Let me take a look here. I missed that, but I missed it on the first round up. Oh no, actually, sorry. No, I didn't. My bad. I didn't miss that. What happened with this? I missed the red to green move on this. Just because at that time I was trading SSKN. And I missed that red to green move on it as it was basically curling up. It would have been a good trade getting in the 170s here, risking off this 160, getting in the 170s, low risk as it was coming up for this red to green move. Could have been a good trade if I got in there because look at the massive move it made after that. But I saw it when it was already in the 195s approaching this 2 mark. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to jump in here. I'm not going to chase it. I'm already coming off a loss. I don't need to, add more to my loss. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait patiently for a good trade on this because I feel like it had the momentum. It could give me the good trade if I just be patient. And that's exactly what ended up happening. 210 was basically the pre-market high. It got up to 207, pulled back. I jumped in on this 1 minute pullback here, on this 1 minute consolidation pullback here, right over here. As soon as it broke this 204, I was in. I got in at 204, scaled out. So I jumped in with 3,000 shares. I sold 1,500 shares at 215. And that was like, got about 10 cents there, just because I wanted to lock in some gain, just because I was already down on the day and I wanted to lock in some gains. And then I ended up scaling out the rest here. I ended up scaling out from the rest all the way in the let's just get the exact numbers here. So I got in at 204, sold 1,500 at 215, about 375 at 218, and then I sold another 562 at 223. Tried getting some out at 228, didn't get filled. Then I sold some at 221 as it was coming back down, and I was out. I was basically all out at 221. So basically just in this move here, if I mean hindsight, I could have held it all the way up to the 240s, 230s, but I was trying to get out in this move here, trying to take meat of the move, so I ended up basically selling all on this candle here, and I was out of my position. I was up on the day about 217 or something, and I was feeling good. I came out of a loss, I stuck to my rules, stayed patient, and I took a good trade, and I banked. So right after this, basically OPTT DRIO, I think the symbol is, DRIO, that came up on some patent news or some news with iPhone 8, iPhone 7, their diabetes or something like that. You can check on your iPhone, something like that. Don't know the full catalyst, but the catalyst came out and the stock jumped right up to 3. Basically went from low 2s all the way up to 3s and got halted right here. I saw it on the halt. I looked up the news, looked good. And again, I can't really trade stocks that are coming out of halt just because they're so fast. And unless you're a veteran trader that knows what to look for, what to do, it's very hard. But I am trying to learn trading the first halt, just because the first halt is usually good, especially if the momentum is really coming in and it gets halted. Then that means more people are looking at it, more people are looking to jump in, and if you get a good entry, you can really take advantage of it. I placed my order. I wanted to jump in at 350. I figure this is already right at 3, basically close at high was 303, so I was already broke 3. Now the only option I have is to look for that 325, the quarter cent break. And I wanted to jump in at 315, and I was going to risk off the below 3 level. If it goes below 3, I'm out. And if I get in at 315, I'm looking to sell over 325. And it was a massive move. It actually opened at 3. So it opened at 303, right where it closed, and it started jumping up. I just wasn't fast enough because as soon as it opened, I saw 315 print go through. I tried getting in right at 315. I had my order ready. I just wasn't fast enough to press OK because I was still kind of nervous. I pressed OK, didn't get filled, and right away it jumps to 320, 330, 340, 360. And I mean, I could have, even if I was just going in with 1,000 shares. And if I would have gone in with 1,000 shares, I was looking to risk about $150 in order to make $400-500. So not a bad risk reward trade there. I just wasn't fast enough, and out of trade I'm always nervous. So I missed out on that. I ended up trading this though, but I after this massive move, I waited for a pullback, 1 minute pullback. But this 1 minute pullback didn't work just because it was all momentum, probably a chat room pump. It wasn't enough strength in the stock to keep going, so I ended up basically losing on it $200 just because I got in here on this 1 minute pullback here at 344, and I believe my entry was right at so see right here, this was my order for 1,315, didn't get filled. I got in at 341 on this candle here, got up to 350, and I didn't sell. I was just, because I went in with 1,000 shares, I was just kind of hoping to see what happens on this. I didn't sell. I wanted to see if it can get back to the high of day. It couldn't, and it ended up basically crashing down on me, and I bailed out in the 320. I got out at 320. Just this candle here just crashed. This ended up coming back to the 330s. I could have covered my loss, but just because I was already nervous about taking this trade, I just bailed out. So now I'm down. I was up for 220 something. Now I'm only up like $58 or something. Not a good way to get rid of your gains. But I was just kind of like, what, I'm still sticking to the plan. I'm still sticking to the trades that I like to take. So I'm okay to risk this because I'm sticking to what I know. The only thing with this one, I could have gotten out easily because I noticed that this 1 minute candle wasn't working, because the amount of volume that came in here, you weren't getting that same amount of volume here. So, and the same amount of buyer strength wasn't coming in. So I could have just basically bailed out. I just kind of held. I had a smaller size, I held, and I ended up losing. The next trade was OPTT again on 5 minute setup, and this one was a good trade. Although I didn't win on it, it was still a good trade. The reason it was a good trade because on this 5 minute here, I jumped in right above this 224. I got in at 225. It got up to 230. It just couldn't get back into the 235, 240s to test the high of day, And once I noticed that sellers were still keep coming in that 225, 228 mark, I ended up bailing out at 223. Only a 2-cent loss, and the reward, if it worked, it would have been 10-15 cents. So not a bad risk reward ratio there. So basically that was my day today, guys. Kind of had, and then by the end of the last trade on OPTT, I was kind of out of my mental capital. I didn't want to take any more trades. I knew I would be just multiplying my losses at this point, or my commissions would be just way too high to even for it to even be anything for me. So I just kind of was like, you know what, it's okay. I'm okay to walk away with $28 and 32 cents in loss in red, just because my past few days have been green, and they've been like a big green days, like $400-$500, and then my one green day was $1,600. So you know what, I'm okay with having a small loss day, because tomorrow now I can come with a fresh mind. With what I learned from today, I can move that on to tomorrow and take advantage of it and lock in some good profits. So tomorrow is a bounce back day for me. I'm excited for the markets to open. I'm going to do some research tonight, have some sort of plan with what happened, because I only trade the first hour of the day, then I have to go to work. So now I'm going to look into what happened for the rest of the day, what was moving, what wasn't, what to keep on my watch list, what to add on my watch list, and what to take out of my watch list. And then tomorrow morning, pre-market, I'll prepare my watch list, see what matches from the day before, and then we'll have 2 or 3 plays ready to go, and hopefully the momentum's still there tomorrow in the markets, and we can take advantage of it. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Gladiator Trader out.